one of the best-selling books out there, and it's an honor to have Brent Bozell on the Newsmakers line with us. The book is called Unmatched. I want to see it at every beachfront sit upon on Virginia Beach when we're down there for the Virginia Association of Broadcasters convention, just to make them twitch. Brent, thank you for taking some time out with us, and more importantly, thank you for writing this book, Unmatched, Big Media's War Against Trump. How are you doing this morning, sir?
Laughing at your introduction. I think you need to wear body armor when you're reading that in front of reporters. But thank you for those kind words. Thank you.
Well, I mentioned this, and Mark Warner, our senator, gave the, I guess we used to call it the response to the president's weekly radio message. I don't remember when that became a thing. But be all as it may, this weekend he was out there again flogging the Russian collusion thing, and I was with him in August of 2016. The ink wasn't even dry on the WikiLeaks releases of John Podesta's emails that he was already saying, "Oh, I don't know who this is. Could be Russia," as if the media just gobbles this up. And my argument is that they're more mad because they should have been the one uncovering the corruption in the DNC, and maybe they're just mad because they didn't find it first and WikiLeaks found it. I don't know what the media's problem is. I was always told if you hold an elected office, Republican or Democrat, the media is supposed to view you as somebody to scrutinize judiciously.
Joe, they just won't let go. They started chasing this rabbit down the hole in 2016. At the end of 2016, that went into 2017, that went into 2018, and we're into 2019, and they would not let go. And they kept pointing to Mueller as being the paradigm of justice, and justice was going to be served. And then the report came out, and the justice that was served vindicated the president. So what's their response? Well, Bob Barr, who was going to be named Attorney General, he had impeccable credentials when he was Attorney General in the Bush administration. So he was going to take care of this. Bob Barr came out, and he said it was the correct vindication. And they've gone nuts. The left has gone nuts. Rather than accept the facts, rather than accept that there was no there. And in fact, there was a collusion going on with the Democrats, with Hillary Clinton. They simply continue attack. Last night, Joe, I was watching Hannity, and he had, I forget the guy's name, he was one of Bill Clinton's attorneys during the impeachment hearing. And he said in the course of the debate that they had that 17 intelligence agencies had pointed to the possibility that laws had been broken. Well, as we cover in the book, that is what was reported by the New York Times. And it turned out that 14 out of the 17, and this is definitive, 14 out of the 17 did not do that. So only 3. And look how they're repeating it. They're just repeating a lie. Mm-hmm. And the public needs to understand, and this is why we wrote this book. The public need to understand the left-wing media are public enemy number one, and they had one goal, which was to prevent the president from being elected, and their goal now is to remove him from office. And if they can't accomplish that, then to cause so much trouble that he loses the election. And that's all that's going on. News has gone out the window.
Well, what I find interesting in all this, and Brent Bozell, the author of Unmatched, is on the Newsmakers line with us, is that they go around and they'll say this, but if Donald Trump called The View tomorrow and said, "I want to come on," they'd fall all over themselves to do it. I mean, he's ratings gold for them, yet they seem to have this disassociation with it, that they want him gone. But I think at the end, if he actually vanished, they'd rue the day.
Yeah, the president of CBS made that observation very publicly, that in fact it was Donald Trump that was keeping them all afloat. Here's an interesting thing, Joe. The two cable networks, CNN and MSNBC, tied their sales to the mast of anti-Trumpism, and all their shows have been nonstop beat up on Donald Trump. Again, no news, just attack, attack, attack. Interesting. Their ratings began to tank the moment the Mueller report came out because the public said, well, it's over. There's no there. And yet these networks are continuing. To put it in perspective, where CNN is right now, they've got a nightly audience, this massive CNN, a nightly audience of 761,000. That translates to 0.2% of the American public. But even better, there are more people who own pet chickens than watch CNN.
They probably get better news from their pet chickens.
Here's a better one. There are more prostitutes in America than there are viewers of CNN.
Wow, it's and there's a connection in there somewhere. Brent Bozell, the author of Unmatched. Let me ask you this question, though. See, I've been doing this for a third of the century now in the media. Mm-hmm. I've done rock and roll radio, top 40 radio, now talk radio for 20 years. And it's my job to do a popular program that serves the listener, and then those listeners pay me by going into my sponsors' businesses. It's a simple equation. We provide the radio for free over the air. I'm going to have to run to one of those commercial breaks. I hope I can hang on to you. I was told you have to be somewhere at 8:30, but we'll be done way before that. But I want you to think on this and come back to it, because how do they lose sight of this? Because the money has to be coming from somewhere. I have to get my money from my commercial sponsors, and if I don't do a show that's interesting and entertaining, and we're conservative talk radio, we've got Rush, we've got Hannity, we've got Beck, we've got Lars Larson, and we rule the roost in a college town in the center of Virginia, and people tune in because we're fair dealers. We go into the news stories, we serve the public what they need, traffic and weather, all the things outside of the political discourse. How do these TV newsrooms, become a PR firm rather than the broadcast servants of their listeners? Think on that for a second, Brent. I want to get your answer when we come back in a moment. Can I hold on to you for that?
Sure.
Brent is the author of Unmatched, the big media's war on Trump. To me, it's like a music station saying, I like bluegrass in the middle of New York City, and then saying, gee, how come nobody's listening? It's an economic thing. How are these businesses still in business if they're driving away all their viewers, Brent?
But the answer to your question is they are no longer businesses. They are causes. Let's go to talk radio. If yours is the most crystal clear business out there. If you don't get the audience, you don't get the advertising dollars. If you don't get the advertising dollars, you're gone. If you get the audience and you get a superb audience, you're going to get more advertising and you're going to get higher ratings and you're going to make more money. And that's all there's to it. Now, let's look at the networks. There's a friend of mine, Jamie Kellner, who was doing stuff in Hollywood when I was doing stuff in Hollywood, and he was constantly telling me that I was wrong, that there wasn't a culture of indecency in Hollywood, that, in fact, they were only feeding the market. And getting to the market is all that matters, all that matters, all that matters. So he was named president of CNN. I called him, and I congratulated him. And, he's a long-time liberal Democrat, but a nice guy. And I congratulated him. I said, now, Jamie, I'm going to do you two favors, and you'll owe me forever. And he said, oh, what are they? And he didn't want to hear them. And I said, number one, I want you to fire up CNN 1 or whatever your corporate jet is. Head south and go to Palm Beach. When you get there, ask around to find out where this guy Rush Limbaugh lives. Go to his house, bring a checkbook, knock on the door. When he answers it, take out a check and sign it. And just hand it to him and say, Mr. Limbaugh, two things. Number one, fill in it for whatever amount you want. And secondly, you can do whatever you want. And I say, Jamie, if you did that, you'd be the number one network within a week. And he said, what's your second idea? and I said, well, I'm going to give you another piece of advice. Whatever you do, don't pick a fight with Roger Ailes of Fox. This guy eats roofing nails for breakfast. And 2 weeks later, I picked the paper, and there's a story in there, and it says, we're going to be a real news network, not like Fox, quote unquote, Jamie Kilmer. And I read that, and I thought, my God, you're a dead man walking. A couple of weeks later, I was with Roger in New York. We took the elevator up to his office. The elevator door opened across the wall on the wall on the other side. A big sign, quote, "We're going to be a real network, not like Fox." Quote.
A bulletin board. Yeah.
I pointed to it and I said, "Roger, why is that there?" And he looked at me and he said, "Just to piss me off." And within a month, Jimmy Kilmer was gone. That was not a smart move. The point is, if they wanted to have ratings, they would have a balanced network. If they wanted to do well, they would do that which hasn't chased all conservatives away. But numbers aren't the decider. It's the cause. And they decided it's good enough to carve out just a little piece of the pie. That's worth it to attack Trump. But what's happened now, Joe, is that their numbers have been reduced to 761,000. I am asked over and over again, are they going to regain the credibility? And here's the sad thing. No, they're not. Those networks are finished as news networks. You'll never look at CNN again or MSNBC again and say this is an unbiased, objective news network. It's gone.
Well, Brent, I really appreciate your visit. And anytime I get to talk to you, whether it's at CPAC or wherever we run into each other, I always feel taller and a better dancer for it. And
let me interrupt you. Let me interrupt you, Joe, because I have said many, many times, if it weren't for talk radio and people like you, I really think the Republic might be destroyed. You're the only things that have stopped us from having this country destroyed.
Well, here in Mr. Jefferson's home, despite people not wanting to associate with him anymore, we still do around here. We're fine with Jefferson and everyone, warts and all. Brent, I appreciate it. And just as a point of order, when the president gets a trade agreement with Mexico to secure the border, and the first story is, well, Mexico was going to do it anyway, I think it makes your point for you and probably helped you sell a few copies of the book, didn't it?
It's just typical. He will get credit for nothing. And in Unmatched, we show it. We show the successes, and they are jaw-dropping when you see the litany of successes of this administration. Economic, foreign policy, militarily, across the spectrum. Mm-hmm. And yet, we also show, from our analysis, every single month, it's 91, 93, 89, 92, 94% negative, the most negative coverage any president has received in the history of the Republic, that began the moment he started running and goes every single month up until today, and will go every single month until Election Day. Just mark my words. And yet, if you look at those successes, read my book, you're going to see it, and it's going to be jaw-dropping, I promise you.
Well, I appreciate it. Brent Bozell, author of Unmasked, the big media's war on Trump. Thank you, sir. You have a great day. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Joe.
And thank you for listening. Until next week, for all of us here at the Virginia Institute for Public Policy, happy Father's Day weekend, and so long, and thanks for all the fish.